Yes, Mr. Stone, the driving force really in the expansion of the military-industrial complex has been the ability of the Federal Reserve to inflate the money supply and draw wealth out of the world. Have you ever thought of making a movie about the history of the Federal Reserve, in particular how John...
Don't you think this is tough enough? God almighty.
And noting that John Kennedy in 1962 or 3 sought to introduce a treasury note redeemable in silver that would have competed with the Federal Reserve and threatened the Federal Reserve. Thank you.
I made Wall Street. This is so hard. Do you know how difficult that was? How am I going to make FRB interesting? That's too tough. I mean, honestly, I know it's a great story, but it's a story that should be a documentary, you know? There are things like Untold History. You can't really make a movie of that depth and complexity. No. People send me scripts all the time about Jekyll Island, and they're all boring, you know? You got to make a movie interesting. The basis of this movie is bless his soul, is Jim Garrison, because I was not particularly interested in the assassination. I didn't know much about it. I bought the story, but I read Garrison's book, and you know what? It was a great thriller. And as a movie director, I was drawn to that material. Now, then I met Garrison. Then I read up on it because obviously I didn't want to do that kind of thing if it was not true. I had to do a significant amount of research. But at first, it was all, this works. It was like Z. In the Greek prosecutor goes after the bad guys. He nails them. And of course, the state turns out to be the bad guy. And there's no way you can nail them. It's a Garrison trial in a way, all over again.
Hi, Mr. Stone. I have 2 questions for you. One, your movie very powerfully criticizes the FBI and the CIA. Have you ever felt that you've been targeted by the government for reprisals in some way? And also, do you think LBJ was involved in the conspiracy to murder President Kennedy?
Well, as I said at the time of the film, I won't go any further than I would only say that he was definitely involved in a cover-up, because there's 2 sides to this thing. There's an operational side, and then there's a cover-up side, and one does not need to know the other. The cover-up exists in the fact that you create the Warren Commission and you appoint the guy that Kennedy fired from the CIA precisely because he was corrupt, Dulles. So that's crazy. And the ties of Johnson to business, Texas, et cetera, and why Kennedy went to Texas, Johnson has some things to answer for. I wish he were alive, but I don't want to make that accusation. And Johnson was sitting there. He heard the shots. They went over his head. He was the first one down.